Hi everyone, welcome to a poker vlog with a bit of a difference. Poker with kids.
Fuck it, let's go. Don't tease me. Let's play some fucking cards.
Welcome back to the poker vlog. We're going to resume normal poker vlogs at the moment. Finally got back into them again after the Vlogger in Paradise competition had finished. Once again, thanks to Andrew and Emmy, Jeff Gross for running the competition. Well done to Matt and Oliver for taking out the prize and the other guys that got listed in the top 5. I'll get around to doing another video about the Vlogger in Paradise competition at some point down the track. As with a lot of things on my schedule, it's sometime in the future rather than having any specific timeline for doing things. Anyway, you'll notice that the background is different from the usual blinds and curtains behind the couch at home because at the moment I'm on the Gold Coast in Queensland. I'm here for the Australian Poker Tour and their grand finale for the year at Southport Sharks. Basically, they ran a few free rolls on PP Poker, which is a mobile phone app. I managed to win one and come third in another, which meant I got a seat to the main event that they're holding, a masterclass by Michael Mizrachi, and a ticket to a 5k guaranteed tournament. Main event's got, I think, a 75k guarantee, which is pretty decent, and they've had a pretty decent turnout so far for the first couple of flights. Anyway, so that has led to this, where I'm in Queensland, ready to, already played some poker, going to play some more poker later today, and see how it all goes. So anyway, the trip up here, pretty nice. Big thanks to the mother-in-law Vicky for helping out with the flights. Actually flew up on business class with Virgin, which pretty nice, like having some leg room and the fancy meal and all that kind of thing. So nice trip up here. Ended up where the tournament is at Southport is a bit north of the actual Gold Coast itself. It's in the Gold Coast, but it's one of the sort of northern parts of the Gold Coast. So to get from the airport, it was kind of bus, tram and bus. Nice hotel room they're in, which is literally just next door to the Sharks Club where the tournament's being played. Got here on Thursday in time for the Michael Mizrachi Masterclass. Great that APT have got together Michael Mizrachi. They've also got Joe Hasham, also got a few others like Mel Judah that have come up for the event. So good to have some pros playing, and not just pros, but really well-known pros. Obviously, Mizrachi's won the Poker Players Championship, main event of the final table, the main event, and Joe Hasham's obviously won the main event in the World Series. So obviously good to have some guys of that caliber up here playing in the tournament. So I went to Masterclass Thursday night. It wasn't too bad. It was, I think if I'd actually paid for a ticket, I'd probably feel a little bit shortchanged. Basically, a guy having a sort of an interview with Michael Mizrachi. A lot of that I'd already seen from the story about him on Poker Go, the pokerography episode about him and his sort of backstory, how he got into poker. Also went through a few, when I say went through, they showed a video clip of about 7 or 8 different hands that he was in, and a lot of them seemed very much, I'll play any 2 cards, beat the flop or turn or river and get paid off. So Mizrachi added a few comments here and there to what he thought about the hand, but not anything particularly groundbreaking or anything like that. He just said, look, I've got a style where I like to play a lot of hands, think I can read people well, so it works for me, and so he plays a bit differently from other people, which, okay, kind of described his style, didn't really go into how he developed it or anything like that. Couple of questions from the audience, and then they had a raffle draw for a seat at a table where you'd play with Michael Mizrachi, and whoever won the sit and go that they were holding was going to win a poker table signed by Michael Mizrachi. I was one number off one of the seats. I think I had 43 and 44 got called out. So if I moved a little bit to the left, I might have seen the table, but I didn't. So that happened. I didn't stay around for the end of it, but obviously one of the guys at the table won that, won the table, and yeah. So after that, I had a couple of options. I could have played a satellite for the Super High Roller event, which they call the Grind, or go to the Star Casino up here, formerly known as Jupiter's. They were looking at having they'd guaranteed 2 seats in the satellite, and they'd had at least, I think, 40 or so runners already signed up before the tournament was going to run. So they were probably looking at getting about 4 or 5 seats eventually. Ultimately, I decided to head back down the coast to the Star and see how the poker room was there. And the Star poker room on the Gold Coast, wow, what I don't really know how to put it in words. Obviously put my name on the list when I got there. Probably took me about half an hour, 40 minutes to get on. They had one table of 2-4 no limit and another table of 5-5. I just put my name on the 2-4 list. Amusingly, while I was waiting, I went to the food court and got myself a Red Bull, and had the girl at the counter apologise for the price of the Red Bull. She said, "Oh, that's, I think it was $6.20 or something." She's like, "Oh, that's expensive." I was like, "Well, okay, if I can get it cheaper somewhere else in here, let me know." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe you could ask at the bar." I'm like, "Look, I just pay it right away." But just amusing that the staff were kind of complaining about the prices of their own stuff that they're selling. Anyway, finally got on the table. Just decided to buy in for 200. You could buy in for anywhere from, I think it was 100 to 400 or 100 to 300. Most people were sitting with around 200 and a couple of bigger stacks. So you'd obviously built up some chips before I'd got there. But some weird things happened during the session. First of all, the chips are actually still the old Conrad Jupiter's chips from years and years ago. From what I heard at the table, apparently they had new chips made up, and somehow someone has apparently about 900 of them at their house and they refuse to bring them in. So for that reason, they're not making any more chips. So they're not using dollar chips, which I have no idea. Everything else that they've got there's got the Star logo, all the outside, all the tables, all the everything. But you're playing with Conrad Jupiter's chips, which obviously are at least date back to before the name change happened when it became the Star. That rebranding happened in 2017, so you're looking at chips that are at least a year old, and by the state of them, some of them are a bit older than that, and looking a bit worse for wear. But anyway, we're playing at the Star with chips that say Conrad Jupiter's. If you didn't know the history of the venue and how it used to be Conrad Jupiter's, you'd be a bit confused about why you're playing with chips that don't match the sign on the door. But anyway, that was part one of the fun part. Because they didn't have $1 chips, that meant that we were playing the game with $2 chips and $5 chips, as well as a handful of 25s that people had from... So $2, $5 and $25 chips for a 2-4 game. The obvious problem is what happens if someone doesn't have change for their blind. So the small blind or the big blind put out a $5 chip. Ordinarily, not a problem. Say you fold your small blind, dealer just changes up. Oh, $3 change, not a problem. But when you only got $2 chips, you can't do that. So then we had to wait for people to then go, oh, I've got to put out, when I want change, you have to put out $10. Then the dealer takes in the $10, changes them for $2 chips, then gives you whatever change, whether it's $8 or $4 depending on whether you're the small or big blind. But all these ridiculously unnecessary changes with the chips. And then it got even more confusing when people use the $25 chips as well. You'd have somebody that would bet $18, someone calls with a $25 chip, someone re-raises to another amount and the dealers are struggling and they're going, oh, how many $2 chips and $5 chips do I need? And it was just a bit of a bit of a farce at times. So that was interesting point number one about the game there. Point number two is one of the players there. The blinds are 2-4. The player under the gun decided to straddle to 8 using 4 pink $2 chips. Fair enough, you could do that. And there's actually another guy I know from Melbourne who was also at the table. He decided to, he was playing there, he was there before I got there. And so he calls, next to act, puts in 2 $5 chips. This somehow creates a major problem for the guy who straddled. He goes, oh, but he's put in more than 50% of a raise, so he's got to make up and make it 12. Well, it's the one chip rule. Clearly, he doesn't know that there's any rules other than the one chip rule, and the fact that if you've only got $5 chips, there's no other way to make it call apart from putting in 2 $5 chips. So it's just a call, and it's a call all day, every day. And then this guy's telling me, he's then telling the table a story about how in a 1-3 game, a 1-3 PLO game, he's made always straddles to $11 because then when somebody puts in $15 to make a call of the 11, then they're forced to raise it up to 19, and then when everybody calls the 19, he then goes around and re-raises to 180 and picks up all the $19. So wrong. Clearly doesn't know the rules. Then he said, "Oh, can we call a supervisor?" The dealer's like, "No, it's a call. I've ruled it a call." He's like, "Oh, but I want you to call the supervisor. Please call the supervisor. I've asked you to call the supervisor." Eventually, the poker manager wanders past. He's like, "Oh no, I've got to talk to you about this. Talk to you about it." Obviously, holds up play while it's happening and explaining the story. And the poker manager's like, "No, it's just a call." And he's like, "Oh, can I talk to somebody higher up than you about this? Because you're wrong." I was just shaking my head, and the other guy from Melbourne, he was shaking his head too. So just a bit of a joke as well. Yeah, interesting thing number two that was, and the third one was something that happened during the session. So obviously we were playing. The guy next to me had limped in, and one or two other players after me limped, and I'd folded. And the guy in seat one next to the dealer raised to, I think it was about $20 or $25. It's then folded back around to the guy to my right, who kind of had one hand over his cards, and he was sort of counting out chips in his other hand. The dealer's just completely overlooked it. Everybody else has folded. So the dealer's just gone, scoop all the cards in, including player one's hand. As soon as she starts to push the pot, the guy who's still got cards and chips in his hand goes, hang on a minute, I'm still in the hand. So logically you go, okay, fair enough, this kind of thing happens, it's a mistake, it happens. Very famously happened a few years ago in the World Series where the dealer mucked the player's hand who'd gone all in. That one, obviously, given that they'd gone all in and it was a tournament, they ended up making a ruling which was kind of in the interest of fairness, which I think probably was reasonable in that situation. But here, everybody at the table agreed, look, the guy who's got cards is going to be the one who gets the pot. I think there was only like $12 or $16 in the pot anyway. Like I said, only a couple of people who called. And so everybody at the table, the dealer agreed. He said, look, the dealer agreed. She said, look, because it's a mistake, I've got to get it approved by the supervisor. I can't just decide myself because it's something where I've made a mistake. I've got to, which is the right thing to do. So we've then gone to the poker supervisor, which I'm not sure if he even was a poker supervisor because he came over from a roulette table. He said, hang on a minute, walked off to somewhere, said, oh, I just want to check it with someone else, I'll be back in a bit. Fair enough. So all this time they've stopped the game. It would have been about 3 or 4 minutes later. By this time the guy who had been sort of supervising the poker room, or the poker room, it was 2 tables, taking names and kind of overseeing the poker, he was talking to the other guy. About 3 minutes later, both of them walked off in completely the opposite direction to the tables. And probably about another 3 minutes after that, they then both came back. In the meantime, while we're waiting and we've stopped the game, one of the players had this side bet about how it was, everybody agreed on the ruling, what it should have been. And he said, look, anyone want to offer me 10 to 1, I'll put $2 on some guys. And he said, look, I'll take whatever the wrong ruling is to win against the right ruling. So some guys gone, yeah, I'll do it, I'll put up $20. Guys come back, and the ruling that the guy's given, which in some ways is a fair ruling, but it didn't seem to make sense either. He said, oh, we're going to void the hand, just give everybody their $4 back and continue play as though the hand never happened. So, wow, that was another one that surprised me. Anyway, apart from that, the night didn't go that great for me. People just, it was no fold'em, hold'em, have to dodge everything, and clearly I couldn't dodge enough. Won a couple of hands, but yeah, managed to flop a set and double up, and then top pair no good against bottom pair that, rivers 2 pair and things like that. So not the greatest night there, but I don't think I'll be going back to the Star or the Jupiter's poker room anytime soon. So Friday rolls around, start of the events here with the Australian Poker Tour. Initially I was thinking about playing Flight 1A, which was early Friday afternoon. Ultimately I decided against that and played in their 2K guaranteed event. Doing fine before the break. Chipped up a bit. I think it started with 15k. I probably chipped up to around 45, 50k, thereabouts. Then went on break, came back from the break, and the wheels just totally fell off. And to give you an idea, it was my bust out hand. I decided to shove an early position. I think the blinds at this stage were, I think, maybe 500, 1,000. I shoved for just over 7k. Got called by one player. I had Queen 10 of spades and got called by Jack 6 of spades, which obviously is the kind of hand you call with if you're looking to knock somebody out. So anyway, the flop was 993 with 2 spades. So I'm more than happy to hit a flush. Red 10 on the turn, so I now have top pair. And, of course, Jack of clubs on the river, so I lose when the guy's got 3 outs. So, yeah, nice way to finish up. And, so that was that tournament done and dusted. So, given that I didn't play in the afternoon flight, I decided to play in the evening flight, day 1B. This is one of the tickets that I had won through the PP Poker app. Again, a weird sort of system where I basically at the registration they said, oh yeah, I want a ticket on PP Poker. So the lady taking my registration basically said, oh okay, wrote down my name on a piece of paper, and along with a couple other names that she'd written down on a piece of paper, and there's a ticket, there's a seat, go. So clearly they had that all. I mean, you probably just could have walked up and said, oh yeah, I want a seat, and they might very well have just given you a seat. But anyway, besides that, sat down at my table and flick switch, God mode was enabled, and everything I did at the first table just turned out brilliantly. To give you an indication, one of the first big hands I had, we had a early position raise. This was maybe the 2-400 level. I think the guy under the gun raised to 1100. I looked down at aces in the cutoff, re-raised to 3200. There's a 30k start stack, and 30k start stack. The player in the big blind then shoved for around about 12,000. The guy who was under the gun shoved as well for 13,000. I had them both covered. Had a round starting stack at this stage. Obviously, I call. The big blinds got queens. The undergun player's got ace king. Runs out clean, so I skipped that pot. A little later, I flopped a set. Again, the person I was playing against decided that they wanted to run a bluff with ace high, calling with a set, and they put the whole stack in, so skip another one. A little bit later, a few people got moved over. I'd raised ace queen, early position. The guy in the small blind had called. Flop came out with 2 clubs. I turned the flush. River was a blank, and the guy shoves all in on the river. So of course I have the nuts. I call. Thank you very much. Another stack. So the first table, nice bunch of people as well. Relatively quickly dealt hands. There was really only one guy that was signing up the table, only because he liked to talk, and okay, it was guy liked to talk a bit, so at least he had a bit of conversation with him. But yeah, took a bit of extra time, but everybody else was fine with him, and yeah, nice table. And I chipped up from the 30k start stack to around. By the time I actually moved, and when the table broke, I had probably around 140, 150k. Moved to a new table, and yeah, things were a bit different there. The some of the players at the table, like they had to be prompted to do everything. They struggled to shuffle the cards because this was all self-dealt. They didn't know when to deal flops or turns. They'd kind of stare off into space and be like, okay, dealer, we're ready for we're all done pre-flop, time for a flop, please. And they'd still be staring off into space, and someone would tap them on the shoulder. Oh, okay. Oh. So there's a bit of that. There was the long looks into goodness knows where while they were trying to make their decisions, and they'd think for 30 seconds to a minute, look at their chips, look at their cards, look at their chips, look at their cards, look around the table, look at their cards. Oh, is it my turn? And then they still, then they have more to think, and then they fold. And this was just, it was just excruciating. Anyway, coupled with that, I managed to give away quite a significant number of chips on mostly on one big hand. I was in middle position, raised with ace queen, called by another big stack to my left, and he would have been small blind. And there was a flop queen jack 6, top bet, top kicker, bet. The guy gets out of the way, small blind, thinks, looks around, thinks he was one of these slow players, thinks, looks around, looks at the cards, looks at the chips, looks at the cards, and calls. Turn is an ace. I know I've got top 2 pair. So again, I put in a more sizable bet. By this stage, after all the pre-flop flop action, I think I'd bet 20k or thereabouts on the turn. My opponent again looks around, thinks, looks at the cards, looks at the chips, looks at the cards, looks around. Oh, I'm all in. So I snap called. He turns over pocket sixes, and I don't hit an ace or a queen on the end to fill up. So there goes a bunch of my stack. Which, okay, fair enough, but it's just frustrating with the way it took so long. He couldn't have just played down the hand. A little bit later, getting towards the end of the night, I decided to run a bluff with king high on a jack 3-4 flop. I think turn was a 2, river was a 10. Decided to bet flop check turn, bet big on the river, and the guy just called. And of course, he was one of those players that I said, "Look, I've got king high." I showed him the king. He did, "Oh, but I paid to see. I paid to see. I want to see your hand." So I showed him the other hand. Then he tables queen jack suited like he's a champion and that kind of thing. So that was another fun way to react. So by this stage, I was gone from the 150k. I was down to about pretty much back to starting stack and thereabouts. Picked up a few little pots here and there. Another short stack went all in. I called him again. This was another one bit. I was in the big blind. A guy raised, the guy who actually beat me with the pocket sixes. He'd raised. The guy who was the relative short stack shoved all in. Everyone else that folded around to me. I was still thinking about my decision. I was thinking, is ace jack, is it going to be worth calling? I think, look, I think it turned out, chips looked pretty close. He actually turned out that he had me covered by about 1,500 or something like that. But knowing that I was basically going to put my tournament life on, I'm thinking, look, is ace jack, I didn't really want to end up running into ace king, ace queen, or that type of thing. Look, I said, mentally I'd gone, look, I'm happy for a flip. It turns out to be a flip, but I don't really want to put myself in a situation where I'm getting in not just as a flip, but in bad shape against ace king or ace queen. So I hadn't taken that long. I'd been would have been less than 15 seconds, maybe about probably 10 to 15 seconds of thinking. And then the other guy folds. I hadn't done anything. He folds his hands. I go, well, okay, that makes my decision easy because I'm not going to have to worry about two players. He's folded as well. So a little bit after that, I decided to call anyway. The other guy rolled out ace-6 suited. Of course, you can't win anything easily. He flopped a flush draw. Luckily for me, it bricked out. So ace-jack 1, I double up. And a few hands later, actually knocked out the same guy. But eventually chipped back up and finished the day with 95,500, which from what the TD is going is around average stack for day 2. They had 230, I think, in flight 1A and 70 made it through. I'm not sure the exact numbers that made it through in flight 1B, but I think I said they had 202 starting, and they were down to around 70-ish with one level to play. So might be a few less than 70 got through from flight 1B, but anyway, I'm through to that. That goes back on Sunday. So not a bad start to the Australian Poker Tour events up here. Today's a Saturday. I'm going to play the second tournament. They've got a ticket to the 5K guaranteed event. That's on this afternoon. And tonight there's actually a short deck hold'em game. Only $40 buy-in. So it'll be interesting not only to play short deck hold'em, watch a little bit of the short deck hold'em coming out of Macau with the Triton poker. So it'd be interesting to play and obviously mentally readjust to things like flushes beating full houses and things like that. But it should be interesting to have it a crack. And by the sound of it, Michael Mizrachi is probably going to play. If what he was talking about in the masterclass, he said, look, there's a short deck hold'em event. I haven't played any short deck, but I'll see if I can learn it and figure out what's going on there. So might have an opportunity to play against Mizrachi, Michael Mizrachi, see how we go. But yeah, should be interesting tonight. And then tomorrow, obviously, day 2 of the main event. There's also a Pot Limit Omaha tournament on Sunday evening that I'm looking to play in. And depending on how things go, there's a high roller event with satellites in the morning. I might play a satellite and try and get in a set there. That starts 2 hours after day 2 recommences of the main event. So I'm not sure if I can. I've actually said you can play multiple events at the same time. So maybe I'll multi-table. Maybe I'll just skip it. I'll see how I go. But anyway, that's my plan for the rest of the weekend. But yeah, started off okay. So let's see how I can finish up this weekend. But good to get away. Obviously, having kids back home in Melbourne, good to be catching up with them. The wonders of technology and video calls and that kind of thing. They've had a few of those over the weekend so far. So hi to Gru and the kids if you're watching. But yeah, thanks for letting me have the weekend away. And yeah, hopefully we can finish off nicely in the coming days. That's going to wrap up the vlog. I think I'm going to call this one vlog number 15. I'm going to include the Vlogger in Paradise ones as vlogs, even though they're own little mini series. So I think this is number 15 for the poker vlogs. So thanks for watching poker vlog number 15, and hopefully I'll be back relatively shortly with either an update on the events here up in Queensland or the Vlogger in Paradise, a bit of a summary sort of wrap video, or maybe even some of the older footage I had from well before this that I've been meaning to put into a vlog. But anyway, thanks for watching. You know, the like, share, subscribe, all those kind of buttons, feel free to press them. And if you want to hear more of this exciting content, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.